Okay, we're using a video here to show how to do power ranking for teams. In other words, who should be ranked highest to lowest for teams or any other sort of a tournament here. In this case, we've got 5 friends playing chess against each other, and the results are shown here. And what we're going to do first is make a diagram that helps us kind of picture what's going on. So I've got 5 different dots representing Adam, Bob, Charlie, Daniel, and Ed. And what I'll do is I'll use an arrow from one to the other to represent a win. So Adam beat Charlie, and he beat Daniel. Okay. Bob beat Adam, and Charlie, and Ed, and lost to Daniel. In other words, Daniel beat Bob. Okay, so the arrow went the other way. Charlie only won against Daniel, which means Ed beat him as well. Okay. Ed beat Adam and Daniel. So here's Ed beating Adam and Daniel here. So if we've done this completely, then we should have 4 competitions for each person. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have an arrow representing each person. Now what we'll do is make a matrix that represents that. Okay? And we'll list Adam, Bob, Charlie, Daniel, and Ed here, and Adam, Bob, Charlie, Daniel, and Ed there. And we're going to have this side representing a win. Okay? And what this means is this. Since Adam beat Charlie and Daniel, we're going to put a 1 in Charlie and Daniel's column for Adam. Okay? Now, Adam lost to Bob and to Ed, and of course Adam didn't play against himself. Okay? So a 1 in each column represents a win against that person. So who did Bob beat? Well, he beat Adam. He didn't play himself, of course. Bob beat Charlie and lost to Daniel and beat Ed. Okay. Charlie, as we said, lost to everybody but Daniel, so I'll put a 1 here, and then we'll just put zeros in all the rest of the columns. Daniel, let's see here. Daniel lost to Adam. Daniel won against Bob. He lost to Charlie, didn't play himself, and lost to Ed. And then Ed won against Adam, and he won against Daniel, and then either lost to the other people or, of course, didn't play them. Oh, I may have gotten that wrong. Yes, I did. Adam won against Charlie. Okay. So now we have a matrix that represents the number of times that they won against each person. And of course, they played once, so Ed won against Adam once. Well, what we'll do is use this matrix to calculate some more interesting things here. So to do that, rather than multiply matrices by hand, we're going to use a handy tool that Desmos has put together for us. If you go to this link here, I get Desmos's matrix calculator, and this is going to be pretty handy. What I'm going to do is type in matrix A equals, and then have it set up a 5 by 5 matrix for me. And then I'm going to pause the video and fill that in. Okay, so we're back with that matrix all typed in there. I can press enter and it's stored there. And this is nice, but it still doesn't help me figure out who should be considered the best and who should be considered the worst. You can tell here on the 3rd and 4th lines that both Charlie and Daniel did pretty poorly. But I've got a tie here between Bob and Ed, and so it's hard to figure out, well, who should be considered the winner here. And so what we're going to do is use a nice tool here. I'm going to square matrix A, and it shows the result over here. And here's what this means. Each number represents the number of times that this person here has beat a team that beat this person. So it's called a two-stage dominance. So in this case, Bob beat two people that beat Charlie, because Charlie's the third one over. Okay? Bob beat 3 people who beat Daniel. Okay? And interesting enough, Daniel beat 2 people. I'm sorry, Ed beat 2 people who beat Daniel. So you can read that off of here. And what we'll do is add up their one-stage dominances, which is this matrix, with their two-stage dominances. So we'll just type in plus A here and press enter. And then we can total up each of these. This is 4. This is 9. This is 2. This is 4. And this is 7. Okay? So that helps us resolve the tie between Bob and Ed, because Bob's total was 9 and Ed's total was 7. Okay? Now, we did have 2 people whose total was, no, we didn't have 2 people that were total was 4. It looks like we're good to go. So we had, no, here we are, 4 and 4 there. So between Adam and Daniel, who should be considered the winner? Well, you can look back at the beginning and say, well, Adam had 2 wins and Daniel had 1. Or you can resolve the tie by doing this. If I use A cubed, okay, that's the number of 3-stage dominances. The way you could think of that this way. This number right here represents the fact that Bob beat 3 people who beat somebody who beat Bob. Okay? Right here, Bob beat 3 people who beat somebody who beat Daniel. So it's called a 3-stage dominance. So what I'll do is get their complete power ranking by adding A plus A squared plus A, and then total those up. And those will allow me to establish a ranking. If there's a tie there, then we can always use A to the 4th power. So you keep going with higher and higher powers until you resolve all the ties. So that's how you can use matrices to establish a ranking among teams.